Punchbowl News reporting this morning that aides to the big forum met with the White House staff on Friday to discuss protocol for the meeting and policy groundwork. Joining us right now is Jake Sherman. He's Punchbowl News' founder. He's also at NBC News and MSNBC political contributor. Good morning to you.
Morning, Andrew.
Okay, so what do you think is going to actually happen at this meeting?
I mean, just to set expectations, the best thing that we could hope for, the best thing toward a deal is some sort of, roadmap to get there. And I think this is really important in the sense that this is an unusually small amount of time between the first meeting between principals and the debt ceiling deadline, which is, again, June 1st. And I want to underscore, and we have an interview with Jamie Dimon this morning in Punchbowl News, and he said he fears a mistake, meaning Congress could kind of stumble into default. And I think we shouldn't underrate that. I mean, just because default has not happened before, Andrew, doesn't mean that it's not a real option this time. Kevin McCarthy has been banging on President Biden to meet now for 97 days. They have not met since February 1st. This is a really high stakes and perilous situation for both the White House and on Capitol Hill.
But who do you think, I mean, given that you talk to folks on both sides, oftentimes, off the record, on back, who thinks they actually have the upper hand at this point? Or is the problem that both do?
No, well, here's the thing. Kevin McCarthy has passed a debt limit bill. He thinks that it's up to everybody else to figure out what they will pass. And I think Chuck Schumer and the White House bet that McCarthy would not be able to do anything, and then they could jam him with Mitch McConnell. But we're seeing an unusual amount of unity between Senate and House Republicans, which is, again, very unusual in these kinds of things, because usually Mitch McConnell just swoops in and does a deal with the president. He did that about 12 years ago. I have to imagine that Democrats are looking, and I know they are beginning to soften on the prospect of a deal, according to people we spoke to last night. But again, this is going to be very difficult given the time period that they have in the next couple of weeks to get a deal together.
Jake, there's a lot of things swirling around. We're seeing, depending on which channel you watch, but the Title 42, whatever it is, that's happening. I'm talking about the president's recent approval numbers, which were kind of shocking to the Washington Post and others, and unusual after announcing a re-election for numbers to go down so much. Does it have anything to do with this? And does that lessen the political capital he can spend right now if he's, at the low point of his presidency in terms of approval? I don't know if it's a good time to, just stick to your guns and say it's my way or the highway. I don't think he's got the public support at this point.
Typical political calculations, Joe, at this point would indicate that Democrats do have incentive for a deal for a couple reasons. Number one, his approval ratings, as you note, 34%, are not good. It's a small outlier, but not a huge outlier by any standard. Number two, Chuck Schumer has a really difficult map in 2024. He has a lot of lawmakers who would benefit from a deal. Now, listen, and I've heard you talk about this before, Joe, but like the bill that McCarthy passed is an opening offer. It's nothing more than that. It is not going to pass the Senate. But opening offers are never intended to pass the other chamber and are almost never intended to be signed into law by the president. So you would have to think that given the president's approval ratings, the map in 24 for Senate Democrats, there is incentive for a deal to cut spending to some level, not as much as McCarthy wants, not as little as Democrats want, and lift the debt ceiling perhaps with permitting reform, which is something else that the president and Senate and House Republicans agree on. So, yeah, the basic answer is I do think there is an incentive for Democrats to get a deal.
What about just a kick in the can, 6 months, we'll talk later, something like that? That's not going to throw some ice cream in for the president. Chocolate chip.
I'm very bearish on a short-term deal based on the people I've spoken to. First of all, I don't think a short-term deal could pass the House, quite frankly, and no matter how short it is, without some serious policy concessions from the White House, which I don't think they would give on a short-term deal.
Hey, Jake, just talk through this cohesion among Republicans. I think it did catch the Democrats by surprise. Would there still be cohesion if the White House were to, let's say, meet them partway, meet them halfway, even on the deal they're asking for? Because at the time, the reporting was McCarthy had told his caucus that the offer they were putting forward was, a floor, not a ceiling, in terms of what they'd be looking for. Is there room to make a deal? Let's say the White House bends, which I have a hard time buying at this point. But if they said, OK, we'll meet you halfway, would that be something that both sides could then embrace?
McCarthy never said it was a floor and not a. He never said this was his final offer. It would be crazy for him to say that because he doesn't believe that. There is, I mean, listen, McCarthy has a treacherous path here. Let's be completely clear. He has a very rightward leaning conference with a lot of people who won't want any compromise, but are going to have to settle for a compromise at the end of the day. So, yes, I do think there is room for a compromise. Broadly speaking, I can tell you right now, McCarthy's speakership will be over if he passed a clean debt ceiling, which is why he's not going to do that. He has been completely clear. I mean, this is different from other debt ceiling debates that I've covered over the last 15 or so years, because McCarthy isn't drawing any red lines besides, I'm not going to hike a clean debt ceiling. He wants a deal. McCarthy wants a W. He doesn't want to hike a clean debt ceiling. So, yeah, I do think there's room for a compromise, but there are going to be a lot of Republicans.
He won't lose more than 5 votes, or it will be okay. He'll get enough Republicans and then some Democrats to sign off on it. But then his speakership will still be safe. There won't be enough of them who say, hey, you didn't do what you said you were going to do, and we're not going to make you the speaker.
It takes one.
Right.
That's the ultimate question. It takes one to trigger that vote. It doesn't take one to kick it out. It would be whatever deal they come to at the end of the day. If they come to a deal, will pass with 100 Republicans and about 100-something Democrats. Right. It's going to have to be something that pulls from both sides. But again, remember, 1 week to get a bill through the Senate. Probably around a week to get it through the House. So we're talking about a really, really condensed time period here.